Alright, first and foremost, I'm going to say all praises be to Yahawah, bahasham, bahasham, double honors to the apostles and elders of great millstone. Shalom to the sincere elect, teaching this truth and faith and sincerity through the spirit and power of Yahawah, bahasham. Quicker update, man, in the news of the current situation that's happening right now in London. Of course, if we speak according to the spirit, we have to speak according to what's happening in prophecy. The scripture says to be occupied in prophecy, which I'm gonna get that. So this is gonna be a short video. I'm just gonna bring out a few points, and then we just gonna keep it moving. Right. So the first point is in this article, man. Like it just shows you what the apostles and elders have been saying for a very long time. That soon, military troops are going to be in the streets, and when more food shortages and we start getting to the point of famine takes place, the government and military, from certain regions, like on earth, starting off first and foremost with Babylon the Great. As these things take place, more and more troops will have to get involved and drafted in. So the first point is in this article over here. This is fuel crisis. Military drafted from next week to transport petrol to keep country moving. Military drafted from next week to transport petrol, keep country moving. Now, person might think, oh, it's just petrol, man, it's not food. But you have to understand, everything happens in stages, and through the spirit as well. By them having the military drafted in to transport petrol, that's getting people accustomed to, right, seeing the army day by day helping to transport the petrol. Because remember as well, I'm not sure if the brothers and sisters gonna remember, but like a couple months ago in England, there was information coming out saying there's a shortage of HGV. I'll show you. HGV driver food, right? News, yeah. You see, HG. So this is a quick article from quick point from a couple of days ago. HGV drivers in Lanarkshire urgently sought to help with food and petrol supplies. Right? Yeah. This is from six days ago. Government steps in to prevent chaotic Christmas with 10k emergency visas for HGV drivers and food workers. Right? Few shortages. HGV drivers saw an issue coming years ago, and worse is still to come. Alright, so it's interesting, right? Petrol shortage. Hold on. See? This is from 3 days ago. Oh man, this is crazy. Brexit costs and HGV crisis means food prices will inevitably rise this winter. And this is actually a even deeper one. I didn't even see this. Desperate measures. ambulance drivers, so people who were supposed to be there to help, like an emergency, to, you know, people who were dying, you know, people like an ambulance. Well, ambulance drivers with HGV licenses sent letters to transport the fuel. So as you've been seeing for the last 2-3 months, they've been saying HGV drivers are, you know, because there's only a small amount, right? That because they don't have enough drivers, that is slowing down the transport of food. So now they're what are they doing now? They're using the military drafted from next week to transport petrol. So if they can use the military to transport petrol, soon enough they're going to be using them to transport food. But it starts off with the petrol crisis, man. It's, you know, yeah, it's about the petrol crisis, but it's not really about that. Soon it's going to be about the food. So soon people will start getting accustomed to the military transporting food, man. So as the food prices increase and the fuel shortage increases, what's gonna happen? Desperation for food, uproars for food, leading to, you know, like, it won't surprise me, rationing, you know, rationing in stores again. Meaning in stores, people can only take one item, two of two items. You know what I'm saying? Right. So let's read a bit of this article. You know, quick few lines and really get to the scriptures. It says the military will begin to deliver to petrol pumps from next week to alleviate the crisis after a lack of HGV drivers and panic buying. Around 200 servicemen, including 100 drivers, which will increase, will provide temporary support to alleviate the burden on petrol stations. UK ministers have announced 300 overseas fuel tanker drivers will be able to work in the UK immediately until the end of March 2022. You know, ministers have said the military involvement as part of Operation Escalin would help fill in any critical vacancies and help keep the country on the move ahead of Christmas. The Petrol Retailers Association on Friday commented that there had not been major change for its members who are independent fuel retailers. The association represents about 5,500 of the UK's 8,300 petrol stations. Its survey of 1,100 UK sites discovered that 26% had neither petrol or diesel in stock. This was lower than the 27% reported on Thursday. On top of this, temporary visas are expected to be given to 4,700 food haulage drivers who can arrive from late October until the 31st of December. It was previously reported that the visas would expire on Christmas Eve. Business Secretary Kwesi Kwarteng, which is Ghanaian, said thanks to the immense efforts of industry of the past week, we are seeing continuous signs that the situation at the pumps is slowly improving. So that's the point. But hey, again, as the economy gets worse and food prices increase, right, people are going to be affected to the point that they're solely gonna rely on the government for help and aid. And that's the same thing that took place in Egypt. In Egypt, you know, there became a food shortage, and the people, you know, bought food and stocked up on food for a period of time. But for a period of time, that their money ran out. Then they had to sell their lands, right, to obtain food, and later had to go as far as sell themselves and become complete slaves to the government of Egypt. I'm gonna read a few verses in that. All right, so let's go to Genesis 47 and 13 on down, and what we also gonna do is cross reference with in the NLT version, you know, in you know, to just give a different in more plain English, you know. This is with, you know, the base has always being the King James version. That's the one we use. This is Genesis 47 and 13. And there was no bread in all the land, for the famine was very sore, so that the land of Egypt and all the land of Canaan fainted by the reason of famine. Yeah, can. So it says, and there was no bread and there was no bread in all the land, for the famine was very sore, so that the land of Egypt and all the land of Canaan fainted by reason of the famine. So what essentially is a famine? A famine is a food shortage, right? A shortage of food, you know, whereby there's severe food scarcity to the point that you got people, some people who starve to death in that time. And so everything in these next verses, as you see, like it is. Remember, it was 7 years of famine, 7 years of plenty, right? Or 7 years of plenty, then 7 years of famine. So things happen in stages. So, you know, like in the first year, they was like, yeah, it's the second year. But when it got to that 5th, 6th, 7th, people were through, man. And Joseph gathered up all the money that was found in the land of Egypt and in the land of Canaan for the corn which they bought. And Joseph brought the money into Pharaoh's house. And that's how Egypt also got rich. And when money failed in the land of Egypt, and so basically the people ran out of money. And in the land of Canaan, all the Egyptians came unto Joseph and said, "Give us bread, for why should we die in thy presence? For the money faileth." And Joseph said, "Give your cattle." Right? And Joseph said, Give your cattle, and I'll give you for your cattle if money failed. So people people had to give up more, man. You know? And they brought their cattle onto Joseph, and Joseph gave them bread in exchange for horses and flocks, and the cattle of the herds and the asses, and he fed them with bread for all the cattle for that year. When the year was ended, they came unto him the second year, and said unto him, "We will not hide it from my lord, how that our money is spent, and my lord also have our herds of cattle. There is not aught left in the sight of my lord but our bodies and our lands. Wherefore shall we die in our hand, in our eyes, both we and our land? Buy us and our land for bread, and we and our land will be servants unto Pharaoh, and give us seed that we may live and not die, and the land be not desolate." And Joseph bought all the land of Egypt for Pharaoh, for the Egyptians sold every man his field, because the famine prevailed over them. So the land became Pharaoh's. And as for the people, he removed them to the cities, from one end of the borders of the Egypt unto the other thereof. Right? So what happened? Right? You know, things got bad in stages, where to the point that they had to they basically had a bartering system, whereby they had to give up their lands completely, and later they had to, at the same time, they sold themselves into slavery for bread. So they put their full trust and faith in the government, essentially. That's the same thing that's starting to happen now, right? This is Genesis 47 and 13. It says, meanwhile, when the famine became so severe that all the food was used up and the people were starving throughout the lands of Egypt and Canaan, by selling the grain to the people, Joseph eventually collected all the money in Egypt and Canaan, and he put the money in Pharaoh's treasury. When the people of Egypt and Canaan ran out of money, all the Egyptians came to Joseph. Our money's gone, they cried, but please give us food or we will die before your very eyes. And Joseph replied, since your money is gone, bring me your livestock. I'll give you food in exchange for your livestock. So they brought their livestock to Joseph in exchange for food, in exchange for their horses, flocks of sheep and goats, herds of cattle, donkeys. Joseph provided them with food for another year. But that year ended, and the next year they came again and said, we cannot hide the truth from you, my lord. Our money is gone, and all our livestock and our cattle are yours. We have nothing left to give but our bodies and our land. Why should we die for your very eyes? Buy us and our land in exchange for food. We offer our land and ourselves as slaves. See, as slaves for Pharaoh. Just give us grain so we may live and not die, so the land does not become empty and desolate. So see the things got bad. They just said, look, man, straight up, man, are we gonna be slaves? And essentially that's what's taking place now, right? You know, right? What's that? This is Isaiah 36 and 6. Lo, thou trusted in the staff of this broken reed on Egypt, whereof if a man lean, it will go into his hand and pierce it. So is Pharaoh king of Egypt and all that trust in him. So essentially, you know, obviously the new spiritual Egypt and modern Egypt, like America, being that great city, but you know, these countries are following its lead and following the same spirit. Remember, the scripture says that the great city which ruleth over the kings of the earth. So there's a global planning place to basically have everyone as subjects, as slaves essentially. And you know, eventually them trusting in the system will lead to their hands being pricked, right? Because which is what? Through that mark, man. So it's happening in stages. This kingdom and society is falling in stages, and as things get worse and people trust in the system, they're gonna go as far as trusting in them completely by giving up themselves as slaves. So when things get completely worse, completely bad, people are just gonna start getting chipped. So that's why now people are getting what? Accustomed to seeing the troops on the streets, to seeing you know what I mean? People are getting accustomed to seeing the troops in the streets. People are getting accustomed to such things, because the time's gonna come where they're gonna put their complete faith and trust in these governments, man. So let me read this scripture. Yeah, I can. So I'm gonna read the scripture. This is Isaiah 31:1. The scripture says, "Woe to them that go down to Egypt for help." Right? Exactly. You know, spiritual Egypt. That is America, of course. So that's where the main destruction and judgment, you know, and time of trouble, you know, the obviously time trouble gonna be upon the whole world, but the main land of like chaos that's about to come on the earth like is America. But again, you know, as well, you know, if you're in England and you trust in the system, well, guess what? It'll be a time where all people on the earth will have this mark pushed upon them, the same way that they're doing this vaccine, and for help, and stay on horses and trust in chariots, because they are many. So that's right. They are, you know, like now, because the shortage, people gonna put their faith in what? The government, the government, these troops, military, such things, because they are many, and in horsemen because they are very strong. But they look not unto the Holy One of Israel, neither seek the Lord, man. Yeah, that's right. Because at the end of the day, if you side with this beast, if you side with this system, it's gonna be unprofitable, and this time, destruction and judgment is gonna come upon you, man. So that's really the point I really wanted to speak on. You know, a quick video. So that I'm saying, praises be to Yahawah, bahasham, Shai, bahasham, Kakadash, double honors, apostles, and all those great millstones. The next time I'm gonna say halalyam.